Hey there, kids. It's your good buddy, Uncle Ben, and I am joined by rock and roll royalty himself, Mr. Nick Bowcott, here at lovely Sweetwater Studios over here at Sweetwater. An amazing place to be. We've been here all week, jamming, making videos, making content, making good friends.
Yep.
To last a lifetime. And we're here today to be talking about our top 10 favorite riffs of the 1980s. And there are plenty of riffs to choose from, are there not?
Yeah, it's a tough one because that was a prolific period. I loved the 80s because you couldn't just go on the Googles and find a new band. You had to go to a concert, you had to buy a record and hope, you had to buy a fanzine, not look at a blog. You had to go out there,
and work
take some risks and work your butt off. And it was a great time to be around. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And yeah, anyway, it was a tough one, so we did some division of labor, didn't we?
That we did. So this all kind of came about because yesterday we were filming some other content, testing out some amps and stuff, and me and Nick just started geeking out about some of our favorite 80s riffs. It was just like, do you know this one? Do you know this one? This is a good one. Do you like this one? And it just kind of spawned this conversation where it's like, let's stop talking and start talking again whenever film is rolling, just to document this. Now, just to keep from crossing over and stepping on each other's toes, and also to represent our individual countries of origin.
Exactly.
Nick had the great idea to divide this by the pond, didn't we?
Yep.
So I'm here representing all of the best American riffs from the 1980s.
And I'm here to represent good old England, with, of course, Sir Dime. He's an honourable British citizen today, may he rest in peace. But yeah, joking aside, there's so much to choose from. We've already found several places where we would have cross-pollinated, which would have been cool, but I'm hoping maybe that for some of you fine American folk out there, I might touch on some stuff that you've never heard of before. Like, I'm going to be doing Saxon, you might have heard of them. I'll be doing Budgie, but not the Budgie you know. Not the Metallica covered Budgie.
That's how I got introduced to Budgie,
Ditto Diamond Head. And the reason I'm going to start with Budgie, actually, because they were the first band I ever saw.
That's too cool.
And they started in '71. I went to see them when I was 16, so it's only last year, but joking aside, I went to see them and they were so freaking loud, I nearly got hit by a truck on the way out because I couldn't hear a thing. It was great. It was a legendary moment.
Children were born with their ears ringing.
So it was it was pre the 80s, but then in 1980 they got a new guitar player called John Thomas from the George Hatcher Band, and they came out with this amazing album. Well, it was an EP first called If Swallowed Do Not Induce Vomiting.
That's a great title.
And I heard them, they headlined Reading, they were so big in England, they headlined the Reading Festival on the Saturday night and they played it on the radio and they played this song called Panzer Division Destroyed. And I was initially going, Budgie without Tony, really?
Yeah.
And then this riff comes on, it's like, oh my loving God. So that's what I'm going to start with. So this is Budgie from the aforementioned If Swallowed Do Not Induce Vomiting album. This is, well, EP rather. And this is a song called Panzer Division Destroyed. And it's just one of those riffs you hear once and go, Ben said this earlier when we were doing a Pantera thing for Sweetwater. He
check that out on the Sweetwater channel.
You go,
makes your big toe shoot up in your boot.
Yep, so let me see if I can, it's an eyebrow and big toe thing. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Everything raises, all items.
With or without blue pills. Such a great riff, and I'm going to be bad and tip my hat to the first album because there was, I call this, it's the Hendrix chord or the Mr. Big chord.
This guy.
And this guy, John, came up with this riff, it's called Hellbender.
Yeah.
And it's like rock and roll but heavy, so it's got the 12 bar.
Yeah.
But the riff is just godlike.
Oh.
So Budgie, not just about bread fan.
Dude, if you would have told me that was a King's X riff, I would have believed you.
Yeah.
You can hear Ty Tabor in there, you know?
Oh, big time.
Oh, it's
Great
nasty.
stuff.
I love that one, man. Killer.
So on to you, my friend.
Okay, I'm going to kick mine off with one of my favorites to play live in my extremely classy hair metal tribute act, Skank Banger.
Good name.
Very proper,
Yes,
of course.
extremely.
We play a lot of stuff from the Guns N' Roses catalog, and of course I have to include them on this list. I'm sure that everybody would agree Sweet Child is the most iconic one.
Right.
Of course. But we've all heard it so many times, and they have so many other great riffs to explore. So the one I put on my list is the intro of Mr. Brownstone. It's one of my favorite cuts off of Appetite for Destruction.
Seminal.
Right? And I love how the two guitars interact on that, because those two guys were never really playing the exact same thing. Like Slash had the little descending part, and on the other side of the mix, you have... I feel like too many metal bands and rock bands today just double up on both sides of the mix.
Right.
You don't get that cool, chaotic interaction. It's almost like Rolling Stones style stuff. I've got a couple other entries on the list that are like that too, where both guitars aren't really doing the same thing. I think that's just so cool. It makes it, of course, impossible to play on one guitar, but that's why you got to make friends that play guitar and go play in a band, kids.
Yeah, and find a drummer who swings like Steven Adler did
Oh,
on
my
the first
God.
album. Because that album is just phenomenal.
Yeah,
it
it's got swagger, man. Swagger.
It's got that Rolling Stones swagger, undulates.
Yeah.
Accelerates and decelerates in the right places.
Right.
It's not bad playing. It's like feeling, emotion, no click, boys and girls.
Yeah, put It's So Easy to a click and watch how quickly it just drops away. And also notice how it doesn't make the song suck. It makes it cooler.
I think if you recorded that song to a click, it could end up being on the suck scale a little bit. Because it's such an amazing song that swings and grooves the way they groove it.
Totally
But
agree.
I don't think anything by Guns N' Roses could ever really suck, however badly you played it, because it's Guns N' Roses. And by the way, Slash, born in England.
Hey, there you go. So you get a point on that one. I didn't know
I get
that.
a point, yeah.
Look out, man.
Yeah, Stoke-on-Trent, man. So next, I'm going to go to a band you guys know very well. It was one of the things that made me friends with this guy initially, because we had a common love for Ace Frehley.
Oh, yeah.
Van Halen, of course, Randy Rhoads, and then British Steel by Judas Priest.
Oh, classic.
Now, I'm not going to play Breaking the Law.
Of course, we know that one.
That would be, it's too obvious. Same with Living After Midnight. So I'm going to play just a riff I think is really, really cool, and it's called You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise, and I'm living proof because I'm old and I'm certainly not wise. So based on that, this is You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise. Simple, timeless, classic, Glenn Tipton, KK Downing, Mr. Halford.
Kind of hard to argue with that troop of individuals, isn't it?
You can't. So back to you, my friend, back over the pond.
Yeah, okay, let's take it to the good old Sunset Strip here and talk about a little bit of Motley Crue action.
Yeah.
You can't beat some Crue. Again, I love those songs, and I'll tell you, again, after playing in a cover band and playing so much of this music, and that's the closest I've ever come to hearing these songs in a small club, not in the Enormo Dome or anything like that. And when you hear some of these Motley Crue songs in a club, in a small room, and you realize how they just fill the air with rock and roll and swagger, it's just something else. These are songs that are meant to sound good live, and I feel like a lot of bands these days miss that point. The songs sound great in the studio or on headphones, but live, not so much. But whenever you hear riffs like Dr. Feelgood and you really hear how that just resonates in a room, it makes you appreciate it in a different way. I'm in standard tuning. I'm not in D standard as Crue always does. So forgive me if I'm a little higher than normal, but this riff is still kicking.
That's perfectly okay.
Oh, thanks.
Jolly good.
Jolly good.
Carry on.
Let's give it to riff, shall we? Again, there's the Hendrix chord.
Yeah, the Hendrix chord.
Showing up again. Yeah. Everybody loves it.
And I have to say about Motley Crue and Mick Mars, two things. Number one, when I was at, you believe it or not, I have a degree in mathematics, so I went to university, and a friend of mine was really into the whole LA thing, so he had the Motley Crue record on leather records, and that was the first time I heard you go, hey, come to my room and hear this, and it was like, Live Wire blew me away.
Oh, so great. Awesome intro.
And then, you know, fast forward many, many, many years later, I had the honor of, well, I'm still friends with Mick, but I had the honor of working with him with both Marshall and when I was at Fender with Jackson. And I stood on his stage while he sound checked. And every band you ever talk to who's toured with Motley will tell you this. He has one of the best live sounds on the planet.
It's crushing.
He had a Soldano behind him. He had two Marshalls. He also has a wedge that's got vintage 30s in it, which is fed by a guitar amp.
That's so cool.
And it's not just loud, it's all enveloping. You're hugged by his sound, and it's freaking huge.
Wow.
And it makes you, wait for it, feel good.
Oh, that's what you did there.
See what I did? Brilliant.
Tied it together.
Just awful. Just awful. So I guess it's back to me. And
back to you, man.
I'm going to stay in so far I've done two from 1980. I'm going to do the third one from 1918. And by the way, only two of the British bands I'm going to cover will fit into the hair metal category. The reason very simply being this, look at this face. Ugly, ugly, ugly. That's true of most British people. So we have to rely, so it's all about the riff, goddammit. Well, it's true of those too, but there's no hair to hide behind, so your riff has got to be really, really good. And if some of these bands had hair as well, goodness knows how big they would have been.
Force of nature.
So I mentioned earlier, Saxon put out two albums in 1980. They put out Strong Arm of the Law, and before that, the first album. And this is called Strong Arm of the Law, and it's a really cool, simple, but catchy riff. So it goes. Now, they didn't squeal, but I had to just to finish it off. But yep, Saxon, a fine band who are still going to this very day. Saw them at Louder Than Life a few years ago. Phenomenal.
That's amazing, man. Killer riff.
It's great, isn't it? Simple.
Simple.
Keep it simple, stupid, as
I say. Probably sound huge live, too.
It does.
Fills a room, doesn't it?
And Biff Byford can still hit those notes, so it's great.
Yeah, man. Killer, dude. Okay, I'm going to take it back to some kind of on-the-nose hair metal classics. I can't help it. We know the riffs. We love the riffs. And Ratt definitely did bring the riffs. An infestation of riffs, if you may.
Good one. Well done. Well done, that man.
I thought about grabbing something like Lay It Down,
right?
Which, of course, is a winner. But tremolo guitars, drop tunings, not so much.
Right.
So it was one that you can play in standard, which is a good old Round and Round, which features some hellaciously stretchy chords.
Warren,
those guys.
A beast.
Dude. And what was with all the stretches and stuff? In their riffs and in their leads. It's like they were trying to get arthritis in the middle of the show or something.
It's funny, talking about that, I got to tell you, so I had the good fortune of doing a guitar lesson for Guitar World with Jakey Lee back in Badlands when the second album came out. And he does this weird thing with his thumb. Have you ever seen him do that?
Yeah.
I said, where did that come from? He goes, well, I used to room with Warren, and his hands were bigger than mine, so the only way I could do it was to bring my thumb over. So a little bit of Ratt and Jakey trivia, which... Oh, back to you, sir.
That's super cool. I did not know that.
It's good stuff.
Rock and roll history lesson over here. Let's hear that awesome riff and see if I can play it without breaking my digits.
Good luck.
And again, a lot of really cool two-guitar interaction on that one, too.
Him and Crosby, man, they were just together, were great.
It's impossible to make that sound right on one guitar because if you find the isolated guitar track here on YouTube, which you can if you search, and listen to it in stereo, you'll hear that they're kind of like accent patterns on the riffs are different. Like on the big C part right there, one of them is playing, another guy plays.
Yeah.
It's the same but different, you know? It's like they had a brief conversation about how the riff went, and then just recorded it.
Yeah.
I love that it's not exact. It's rock and roll.
Yeah, left and right, two guitars, make good use of them.
No kidding.
was good, man.
To you, sir.
So, my next one is from a band that inspired a lot of the 80s stuff. 3 guys from Newcastle, Geordies, called Raven.
Oh, yeah. They got some sick stuff, man.
They had an album called Rock Until You Drop that came out in 1980. And it was, a DIY, very British, 3 scruffy yobbos with the guy had a ridiculous voice, still does, could do those like suck-in screams.
Oh, yeah, inhale kind of stuff, yeah.
But they had this one song, one song called For the Future, and it's just one of those riffs that just makes you go.
Brings out the evil in you.
It's not just the eyebrow, you bar your teeth like you're a Rottweiler. So this is the riff. Let's see if I can do it. That to me is metal, my friends.
That is
2 chords and some chromatics and some just.
What else do you need? If
Nothing.
you're not having a good time, it's your fault.
Yeah, and he was playing a telly too, so go figure.
Really?
Yeah, but his palm muting aggression was ridiculous.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
that's
good.
a killer riff. I've never heard that particular
one. It's a good one.
But they bring the riffs and stuff. Yeah. And again, I think a lot of people maybe watching this video haven't ever checked them out before. Right. Hopefully that inspires them to do so.
Yeah, the first 3 albums, Wiped Out was the follow-up. Just great stuff. Check them out. They're worth it.
Killer, man. All right, I'm going to bring it back to the States here with a guitar player that was hugely influenced by, of course, the late, great Eddie Van Halen, but took all of his tapping and his pedal tones and his chord usage and stuff and went in a more major scale kind of direction, a little bit less bluesy, a little bit more diatonic and stuff. Vito Bratta from the band White Lion.
Amazing player.
Dude, like way before I got into hair metal and stuff, my guitar teacher, the amazing Benjamin Franklin, actually introduced me to this riff.
Is that his name, really?
Seriously, his name's Benjamin Franklin. Yeah, awesome guy too.
That's great.
He's 450 years old.
And he's on bills. Bless him.
But he introduced me to this riff, and like I didn't even know the band White Lion. I never even listened to this song, but he taught me the riff, and I was always like, that's such a cool riff. And it would be like months later I actually heard the song and heard the amazing solo and stuff too.
Scary.
And some of those riffs and chords and everything in the song Wait are just some of my favorites. And I think it goes something like this. I might be wrong, but it'll be rock and roll. So let's just try it out. I love the chromaticism, that walk from A to G to F sharp to F. It's just so melodic.
Yeah, and he had some fire too. I had the good fortune of working with Michael Wagner for a while.
Oh yeah,
the producer, and he did that album.
Dang.
And Hungry.
Oh yeah.
That's just one. That's where he's blazing those fills and stuff. So my question to Michael was, explain. He said that was the take. There were underdubs, not overdubs. They weren't overdubs. They put stuff underneath. But he said that was him playing live with the rest of the band.
Really?
It's just like, you're done, sir.
Okay. So just the scratch track was the final track. Yeah. It's like, that'll do.
It's the first thing he played. We didn't have to fix anything. We just put some stuff underneath. Yeah, scary.
What a freak.
Because he's blazing.
Oh, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird to think that a guy like that could just fall off the face of the map and be like, I'm good. I've played all the notes.
He's doing pizza now, I think. He's making pizza or something. But he made a mark.
Yeah.
But guess he's hungry.
You know what?
Again.
Hungry for some pizza. If his pizza making is as good as a guitar playing, I got to get a slice of that. You get that?
Yep. Yeah. Ooh, well done. This is Pun City. So hate in the comments below. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's see. Where do I go next? I'm going to go to a band that one would argue is probably one of the 2 hair bands from England. I saw them before the first record came out. They played a Greyhound racing track in a place called Salford, which is near Manchester. And the opening act was a band called Angel Witch. It was a complete mismatch.
Oh, yeah.
But the band is called Def Leppard.
I think I've heard of them. I believe I've heard of this band.
I liked them so much that my band Grim Reaper, who were a tiny little pimple on the backside of the 80s metal scene, knew over British heavy metal, We covered Get Your Rocks Off before the first album came out.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do a Get Your Rocks Off. That one, but there's another song on that record that's just really, really good. It's called Wasted. Are you familiar with that one?
I don't think I know that one. That's so rockin'.
Sheffield Steel, man. Like before Hysteria and Pyromania, they were they still are a great riff band.
Yeah.
Like, I love that band.
But the riffs were meaner back then.
Yeah,
like they were a lot more, influenced by like Judas Priest and bands like this. Whereas I think everybody knows the more glammy, polished side of Def Leppard, but some of those early ones have some really chunky, mean riffs.
Yeah, and they were kids, man. They were literally kids. They were 18. Like I saw them when I was 18, so they were 18. Yeah, and they were phenomenal. You could see future stars.
Killer, man. Great riff.
Yeah, good one. So back to you, my friend.
Let's take it to a little fairy tale band called Cinderella. I've been on a huge Cinderella kick lately. I don't know why, but like I've been listening to like all of their classic records while I'm like in the gym and stuff, and there's something about those tunes that just really get really good to me. Gypsy Road is one of my favorite tunes of theirs, and again, just that nasty telly tone with the distortion on it, little bends in the riff. That's got to be one of my favorites. Shake Me is also up there, of course, but this has been getting good to me lately, so that's why I put it on my list.
Nice.
Love that one. Simple.
Just a great band.
Yeah, dude.
Just a great band.
Killer riff. Great solo in that song too, man. I ought to break that one down sometime. Good stuff, man. What do you got next?
I'm going to go over to, everyone would expect me to play a song that has Spade and Ace in the title for this band, but I'm not going to do that.
Going somewhere else with it.
I'm, of course, talking about the one, the only Motorhead. May Lemmy rest in peace.
No
one of the
doubt,
good
man.
guys. Legendary. If you haven't read his book, White Line Fever, I strongly, highly recommend it. It's brilliant. You can hear his voice because it wasn't just a ghostwriter. I've had the good fortune of speaking to Lemmy, and it's his voice. And some of the stories in there are just brilliant. There's a story about Phil Campbell I can't tell on camera.
We'll talk later.
But it's one of the best comebacks to someone put downs I've ever heard in my life, and it's just sheer genius. But anyway, so the album Overkill.
Yeah.
There was a song called. Well, there is a song on it called No Class.
No Class, yeah.
This riff is pure class, in my opinion. Very ZZ, but sleazy ZZ, if you will.
I like that,
man. Timeless, great stuff.
Love it. That's a great one, man. That's a band I had the honor to see before we lost Lemmy, of course, too. We did a gig on the Motorhead motorboat cruise that they did.
How great.
And, it was obvious at that time that Lemmy was not in great health. He was looking really thin and stuff, looking a little bit frail. But, dude, as soon as they took the stage, it was on. Yeah. They were monstrous, and he sounded perfect. They were also, I think, the loudest band I've ever heard in my life. Good God, it was crushing, but it still sounded great.
Yeah, everything louder than everything else.
That's it, man. That's the move.
I got to know Lemmy pretty darn well because he was really close friends with Jim Marshall. Really close.
Well, yeah, use that stuff forever.
And he's just one of those. It wasn't. We've talked about it before. It wasn't an act. What you saw was him. It wasn't a stage persona. That was Lemmy, 24/7.
Awesome.
That's just the way the man. I mean, he passed away he lived to his 70s, but in those 70 years, he lived like 500 of normal people's lives.
No kidding.
And that's just a weekend. But anyway, let's see, where do I go next? Oh, another band that definitely influenced American bands that you are going to touch on. I saw them just before they put an album out by themselves on a label called Happy Face. It was called Lightning to the Nations in 1980. Diamond Head.
Diamond Head, yeah.
They were so good, I went home and said to my drummer, I'm sorry, we have to replace you because the bar has been reset. And they were just phenomenal. And Of course, I could just play "Am I Evil"
Yeah,
or another
that's
one
one
of
we
the
all know.
ones that Metallica have covered. But this band was so good that even back then, like way before their second album was called "Borrowed Time," but they were playing the title track live way before the first album came out properly. You know, like the White Label album came out, and it stuck in my head. The first riff, because my favorite chord of all time is the minor 7,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because it's none more sad.
Indeed.
And if you play it right with distortion, so they did this weird thing. So it goes, it's sort of E minor 7, then it's an A with a D minor 7, I call it, which is probably technically completely wrong. But this riff stuck with me forever, and it goes
Sick.
something like this. I missed a note, but I'm not going to repeat that because you don't have to. It's just a great riff, regardless of how
Awesome.
well or badly it's played.
I love it, man. All the vibrato on those little diodes
Yeah,
and stuff
and it
has
was
that
just-
like slide guitar kind of quality.
And then that guy, and then Sean Harris starts singing, and my whole spine would just go. Because he was a miniature Robert Plant.
Wow.
Like, an amazing voice.
Killer, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely check out some of that stuff if you haven't.
So,
Okay, I can't obviously make a list of greatest 80s riffs and not have The King on the list. Of course, there's going to be some Van Halen on here. How could there not be?
There has to be.
It's impossible to narrow it down.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the output of the band from the 1980s, it's like I was looking through it and I was like, do I do 5150? Do I do Panama? Do I do Hot for Teacher? Like, how can you choose, you know?
It's impossible.
Mean Street, the verse section of that song, it's impossible to beat. It's
Yep.
so nasty. But also, too, the solo section, the riff behind the solo, it's one of those rare early Van Halen guitar overdubs where there
Right.
was a rhythm guitar
Yeah.
and a solo going on at the same time. The solo riff is sick. But the verse riff in that song is just immaculate to me, you know? Always gets me fired up. Let's see if I can butcher it properly, okay? Impossibly sick.
Timeless Eddie, man. The
best.
Everything the man did.
Yeah. Gold.
Whenever I get a new pupil and they talk about, you know, oh, we can do this punch in and that punch in and we can Pro Tools this, I play them the isolated track of the song.
Oh, I'm the one.
Yeah, the
Oh.
isolated track on that
It's
is
terrifying.
ridiculous. There's like no string noise and it's one take. There's no punches. It's just
Shocking.
a guitar god performing
Yeah.
miracles on 6 strings.
It makes you realize that Eddie Van Halen was actually the world's only guitar player, and all the rest of us are merely guitar owners. Renting it at best.
That's well put. That's well put. Right, so I guess it's back to me. And one of my huge early influences was a band called Thin Lizzy.
Oh,
In
yeah,
fact,
man.
Before Steve Grimmett joined Grim Reaper, we had a singer called Paul DeMarcado. We just called him Woofer. And he was kind of Phil Lynott, so much so that we would do our own material, but like 4 or 5 Thin Lizzy songs, so much so that people would call us Thin Reaper or Grim Lizzy.
Awesome. That's great.
And a lot of that stuff was pre-80s, but then this guy called John Sykes came along
heard about
and
that guy.
joined that said band, and there was an album called Thunder and Lightning, and there's a song on there called Cold Sweat, and it's just one of those riffs.
Heck yeah, man.
And it's one of those defining squeals that I'll probably mess up, so I'm apologizing in advance for this cock up, but here we go. So.
Ooh,
And I got the squeal on that one, so hurrah!
that was
But
delightful.
John Sykes, what a player, man.
John
what a player.
Sykes, a squeal monster.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to know where Zach got it from, listen
one
to
of
some
those
Sykes.
guys,
Listen to
yeah.
what Sykes does when he shakes that rope and hits a pinch harmonic on there, man.
Like when he was in, I saw him with Tigers of Pantang.
Oh, wow.
While Jesse Cox was still in the band. And it was petrifying.
Dude,
It was petrifying.
I imagine so.
It was like, you know, like seeing Vivian Campbell with Dio, same
Right.
kind of thing. It's like,
Oh my
the bar's
God.
just been raised.
yeah, yeah.
Guy with
Sykes
Les
is
Paul
amazing,
killing
man.
it.
Yep.
So back to you, my friend.
Okay, man. So all the stuff I've been naming off so far has kind of been in that sort of glam, rock, hair metal kind of scene. But of course, over here in the States, we also had another huge explosion going on with the big four of thrash metal. It would be a foolish mistake not to include riffs from all of these bands.
I agree.
But of course, we wouldn't have the big four of heavy metal without the new wave of British heavy metal bands that you've been educating us about throughout the course of this video. So it all goes back to the UK, really.
$20 in the mail for that plug, by the way. Thank you very much.
There you go, man. You want to have that converted to, what do you guys have? Some
pounds, shillings, and pence.
Some of that stuff? Is that what you got? Okay. I'll work on the conversion rate later. But, you know, you can't not talk about Metallica when you're talking about the best riffs of this time period.
No, you can't.
You could basically take any riff from the Master of Puppets album and just say, that's the best. Title track, Battery, Disposable, literally any of those songs.
I agree.
But I remember the first time that I heard the riff from Master of Puppets, it was like the most intense, brutal, just pissed off thing I think I had ever heard. So I have to have that one.
Exclusively, yeah. That's ridiculous.
That's the meanest riff ever. So, of course, I got to include that one, right?
Yeah.
See if I can do it.
Well done. That's
Pure evil.
Yeah, and Dan picked only. Scary. Scary.
So good, man. But again, any riff from that album, you're good.
Going back to Motley Crue, though, the fact that Livewire is Dan picked.
Oh, my God.
That's the same tempo.
It's
and it's
so
relentless.
fast. Yeah.
Relentless.
Yeah, it is.
And then those harmonics. But anyway, back to... So I guess you're done with that. So now, no, you've got to, is that your riff, or are you going to do another
That's the one, yeah.
It says
Master of
Battery
Puppets.
down there, so I was
I had a
fooled.
last-minute change, man. I was like, Battery or Puppets? But Puppets is the one that, like, really got me
Gotcha.
fired up. So I was like, I got to include that for sentimental reasons.
Yeah, and if you see either of us looking down, it's not we're admiring our shoes, even though my shoes are really good. It's we're looking at our list. So I'm going to double up on Mr. Sykes now, because
why wouldn't
it makes sense.
Yeah.
So the first, what I would call British hair band, who were brilliant and remain brilliant to this day, and who don't play with tapes and stuff, but they all sing and stuff, Def Leppard. There was this guy called David Coverdale that was a shoe salesman in Barnsley. Then he
Was
joined.
he really?
Yeah, he was a shoe salesman. Had long hair, but he was selling shoes. And there's pictures of it. You go do the Googles and research it. He joined, of course, Deep Purple. Then he created Whitesnake, and the early Whitesnake was really a blues rock.
Very
band.
bluesy, yeah.
If you go back even before Slide It In, really, really, really blues rock. And then in 1987, out came the album
That's the
with
one,
Mr.
man.
Sykes, and once again, it's kind of like Master of Puppets. Any one of those riffs, pretty much, you go, that's the best riff on the album.
Bad Boys is probably my favorite.
But this one, if it's raining, will make me weep.
Uh-oh.
So I think you know what it is. Yeah, this is called...
The solo in that song too is just lethal.
The guy blazes. We were talking earlier, if you Google Blue Murder Weird Al, you will see that band playing live on that show, and it's mind-blowing. Franklin, of course, Mr. Sykes and Vinny Appice just going nuts, like going for broke on a TV studio floor and just killing it. It's
monsters.
Great. Tony with no shoes, with his Aladdin pants. It's just brilliant. But anyway, so back to you, my friend.
Severely, brutally underrated player. John Sykes is one of those people that, like, I think he could walk around the grocery store and not get noticed by most people in the United States, at least, and that's a criminal offense because he's incredible, man.
And the guy can sing great too.
Yeah, you don't know again,
great.
man. Okay, let's take it back to the Big Four. Let's talk a little bit of Megadeth. Okay, so this is technically cheating a little bit because Rust in Peace came out in 1990.
Right. So you can just creep it in.
You know?
He wrote it, that means he wrote it in 89.
That's kind of what I was trying to justify in my head. It was like, it probably came about in the late 80s, so let's just call it that. And again, with the Rust in Peace record, it's like you could choose anything from there. Everything on there, Lucretia, Tornado of Souls, all those. But I think the one that really kind of got me hooked on that record is, of course, the riffs from Holy Wars, The Punishment Due. And again, you could choose any riff from that song, honestly. The bridge riff is epic. The intro is amazing. The verse part of the song, I think, is the coolest. And how Dave plays that and sings at the same time,
it's beyond me.
It's hard enough just doing one or the other, much less all of them. simultaneously.
Plus looking cool as well. Just looking mad, looking like Dave Mustaine.
Looking very mad. Yeah, definitely. So we'll see if I can pull this thing off. It's probably my favorite riff in the whole tune.
I applaud you, sir. That was good.
It's a good one. Man.
We were talking about. We did a dime video earlier, like I mentioned already. We were talking about using major and minor dyads.
All over it, dude.
Mustaine, brilliant at that. Absolutely brilliant at that.
Killer riffs, man.
Yeah. You're of course doing your big four. I can't do new wave of British heavy metal without that Iron Band. But I can't do that because everyone does it, and because
it's on the nosy.
Yeah. But it's a great riff. Once again, that's an album where any riff on that album is great. But I'm going to go to a song called Wasted Years.
Oh, yeah. Come on, man.
See if I can crucify the start, because it's great.
It's hard, dude. Those single string riffs like that.
No, they're brutal. We've got
shockingly hard.
No echo or reverb to hide behind.
Woo, and these are
these
brutal
are
and stiff
unforgiving amplifiers.
Yeah.
So if you see a weird skip in this, you will know that I messed up and had to do it again. So expect multiple skips here, my friend.
Floor it.
Honesty, that's the way to go,
Transparency.
That was take 584, and that's as close as I'm going to get. But what a great, great riff. Badly played, but who cares? Get the record, listen to the masters.
It's so good, man. And again, those riffs like that, like Thunderstruck and stuff, are shockingly hard to play, man.
Thunderstruck is brutal.
Oh, if you're playing it right and picking all the notes, most people just, this deal right here. But if you're picking it all, you got to put that one in your set before the first beer hits the stage.
Yeah.
You want to be at full neural capacity to play those in the set, if you're me anyway.
The funny thing about Thunderstruck, I don't know if you know this, but I had the good fortune, again, when I worked for Guitar World, they go, could you do a lesson with Angus Young? It'll just be you and him in a room. It's like, let me get this straight. You want me to sit with Angus Young, have him show me how he plays his stuff, and you'll pay me? Okay, I guess.
Sign me up if I have to, yeah.
And so we ended up doing it. He liked me for some reason, so he was obviously, he only drinks tea, so perhaps he was just in a good mood. They asked him if you do a column, he said, yeah, I'll do a Q&A, but it has to be with the British bloke. So we talked about Thunderstruck, and he was saying, like it's a family situation.
Yeah.
So his producer family member said, that's just taking too long. Take all the strings. Either tape the other 5 strings or take them off.
Like mute them, yeah?
Yeah, tape them or take them off. That way you can just pick the one string.
How did he end up doing it?
He didn't say, but he did one or the other.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the sock trick,
Sure, yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like we can spend 3 hours, or you just take the damn strings off or put some duct tape on them. Idiot.
Yeah. Make life a little easier.
All right, mate. So that's what they, because he's playing that throughout the song, and that's not a copy and paste Pro Tool things. That's a little Scottish guy who moved to Australia playing his thingies off and doing it well.
Doing it way cooler than any of us can dream of.
Way cooler than I just played Wasted Years, for sure. So back to the big four.
Back to the big four, man. We got to have the most screamable band name in history, Slayer, on here, of course. And again, it's like, if you look at Rain and Blood, it's like, which one do you choose?
All of them.
All of them, yeah. Like, you can't have a wrong answer when you're choosing a riff from there. But that intro to Angel of Death is one of my favorites, because that's one of those ones that I always go to whenever it's like maybe before a show or before a bunch of lessons when I'm kind of feeling rusty. I'm like, I need to get this guy warmed up. Yeah. It's one of the riffs I usually go to because it's just a non-stop 16th note assault. And it's a pretty nasty one to play, so let's butcher it here.
Go. You did good.
Thank you.
That's a tough one.
I'll take it, man. A lot of notes.
That's a tough one.
A lot of notes whizzing by.
And what an influential band.
Massively, hugely influential. Even if that was the only record they ever would have put out, you'd still be feeling the reverberations of it to this day.
That final tour, man, I mean, it tells you something. They finish like a 2-year farewell tour, and then COVID hits.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
The bell has tolled.
Yeah, but One of the most moving things I've experienced was, once again, I've had an extremely fortunate life. I was asked by Slayer's management to MC Jeff's public memorial.
Wow.
And there were like 5,000 kids there. And so, you know, I did the intro, and then people like Brian Slagle, who was, you know, of course, Metal Blade, the guy
Hugely
responsible. Then, you know, Robert from Metallica, and of course Kerry and some other folk came up. Mr. Kaler came up and spoke. It's very moving. But when they did the video tribute with the slideshow, there were mosh pits.
Oh my God.
There were mosh pits at the memorial, and it was truly moving.
I think you would have wanted it that way.
That's the way it should be. You don't stand like this, you go, yeah, Slayer!
Slayer, dude, yeah.
And what I did at the start, I said,
Beautiful.
you know, I opened the show by saying, you know, I know one of the most iconic chants at any festival across this planet is Slayer, Slayer, Slayer. And they started doing it, said, you have to change it, Hanneman.
Wow.
And they did it. 5,000 kids screaming Hanneman, as they should.
That's incredible.
Him and Kerry and Tom and Dave, and the other drummers, the other great drummers they've had, and Mr. Holt, can't forget Mr. Holt.
Of course, man.
What a legacy, man.
Yep.
What a, you know, untouchable. Period.
Savagery.
Yeah.
Pure savagery, man.
Pure savagery. So, it's my turn now, isn't it?
To you, sir.
Yeah, so for my last two, we're going to do, we talked about this, I'm going to do something which is somewhat of a crossover, because let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah, I'm at my number 10, so I'm going to do two. And they're both with American singers, but English guitar players.
There we go, a little crossover action.
But what makes it even more interesting, in both cases, it's the same American singer, who's sadly no longer with us.
Oh.
Of course, I'm talking about the late, great Ronnie James Dio.
The best.
Who had a knack of singing with amazing guitar players. So you look at,
Truly.
so he explodes on the scene after Elf with Richie Blackmore, who wrote some Smoke riff, I guess.
Something like that. Smoking on the something or other.
Yeah, Smoking on the Boys'
Ocean,
Room. Yeah.
Like that. I think that was him.
And then Black Sabbath.
Heard of them.
And of course, Dio. Oh my God. So Vivian Campbell, another cross. Vivian's still the new guy in Def Leppard.
Right, yeah.
For like 30 years. Kind of like the Ron Wood.
Totally, right.
Of hair metal.
New guy. Yeah.
What an amazing guitar player. But I saw probably Dio's debut appearance at the festival now known as Download, which used to be called Donington.
Okay, yeah,
Monsters of Rock.
Oh, yeah.
And what's great is the show I saw is now on a double live album.
Oh, yeah,
that they put out. And there's one moment that if you hear it, no one will make sense of it. But Ronnie's introducing a song and stops mid-sentence and goes, either nice shot or good shot. What happened was someone threw a plastic jug and it hit him on the head.
Oh.
So, good shot, and carried on talking.
Yeah.
It was great.
If you're just listening to it, it wouldn't make any sense.
But hard. So now you know, if you listen to that record, listen out for that. When he says shot, that someone just hit him on the head with a plastic
Yeah, all the
box.
coolest stories about this stuff, man.
So this is one of the songs they played at said festival, which made me go, I got to go home and practice. Because Vivian, he's always been on fire, but that was the first time I witnessed the man, and it was petrifying. Something like that. What a riff!
Love that riff, man.
Just
Simple.
2 chords.
Play with one finger.
Technical genius.
Awesome stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's a killer one.
They keep it simple, stupid process in action.
It works.
So my other one. Let's see. You've got 2 more, so I'll keep my other ones left. You've done.
Okay, yeah. I've got my last of the big 4. Then I'll start my crossover list, and we'll close it out and stuff here. But the last of the big 4 I've not talked about is the mighty Anthrax. And there's many riffs to choose from. I was kind of trying to narrow it down between like Medusa and this one, but there's something about the aggression of the palm mutes and the tone in that riff from Madhouse that I was like, well, I have to put that on here.
Plus the video's great.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Classic
Video
stuff.
rules.
Killer riff. Let's check it out. Simple. Sick.
Just a great band.
Yeah.
One of my many bucket list ticks was when back in the Twisted Sister days, they would do a Christmas show at Irving Plaza, like they'd do 2 sold-out nights, and Joey from Anthrax had his solo band, and he asked me to play both shows.
That's cool.
No
pressure.
One of the songs we did was Madhouse, and that was just
so
like
cool.
to play that with that. So you start playing that riff, and the band. He had a great band, apart from me maybe, and then that voice kicks in, and it's like none more better.
For real. And you want to talk about one of the nicest guys on earth, too.
And what a voice, man. What
Amazing.
a voice. And you hear him sing stuff like Journey, it's petrifying.
It's insane, yes. Absolutely incredible. I had the pleasure of performing some Journey tunes with him on some of these like Shipwreck Cruise gigs and stuff that we've done. He'll just get up and play any song you want to, because the guy loves music. He's not just about metal. He loves everything, man. A consummate music lover and obviously incredible singer. Okay, so the first of my crossovers.
Go on.
British singer, American guitar player. It's kind of like you got your chocolate in my peanut butter kind of situation.
Yep.
We're bringing our two great nations together here, one riff at a time. I'm thinking about a little guy named Ozzy Osbourne. Pretty successful solo career. Teamed up with some pretty decent guitar players like Mr. Jakey Lee. You might have heard of a little tune called Bark at the Moon.
Yep. He's another one of those guys, man. He's like the English Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
Look at who he's played with.
Yeah, just finding incredible guitar players over and over and over again.
Randy.
Zach.
Jake. And then that wild dude, Zeke Wieldy.
Yeah, that's him.
What a
that's
monster. All monsters. But,
impossibly cool riff at the front of Bark at the Moon. So I got to include this one on my list. See if I can butcher it real good for Jake.
I'm going to be obsequious, another one of my big words today. Your video on that song riff is...
Thank you very much, man.
Is one of those ones. You're one of the guys that when people says, because there's some great stuff on YouTube, there's also some not so great stuff.
I always say
I'm on it, for example, but
the best thing about YouTube is anybody can upload videos. Yeah. The worst thing about YouTube is anyone can upload videos.
And some of it's classic, and there's the mindset of the mindset is it's on video, it must be correct.
Right.
But I thank the guys who do it wrong, because I earn some pretty good money reteaching people stuff.
I say the same thing, man. Thank you to those terrible Cherry Lane tab books.
God bless you. God bless. Keep it up. Keep it up. Yeah, keep it up. Yep, that's it. Yep. But yeah, that was just a great video.
Thank you very much.
I watched that and I hit that subscribe with the bell.
I appreciate that,
Uncle
sir.
Ben is a daily part of my life. So this is
happy to hear that.
This is a lot of fun, man. Thank you.
Killer, man.
I'm going to close out by... Now, I wanted to play I was going to do Children of the Sea, but I can't tame this amp to go from clean to dirty the way I want to do it. I can't do it. This is a one-stop kill everyone amp. And it's great. And I don't have a channel switching thing, so I could have gone, of course, the whole... It's just too darn dirty, so I'm going to play... This is the first time I heard this, it was just one of the... I mean, this is a riff that's probably... I don't think we discussed this earlier. The Ronnie James Dio era of Black Sabbath, including the Dehumanizer album...
Amazing.
...does not get the credit it deserves. Because it's fun. He brought something out of Tony.
Agreed.
I love everything Sabbath did. Like one of my big... I got to play Into the Void with Zakk Wylde at the O2 Arena.
No big deal.
No big deal. And that's one of my favorite all-time riffs. But it's not in the 80s, unfortunately, so I can't go... Do-do-do-do-do-do. But when Ronnie joined that band, Iommi, just as great as he was, he stepped it up even further.
Yeah, I did.
And he was on at 11, he went to like 12 or 13, but this like...
The sustain.
That's why, you could go away, have a bite, come back and hear that one. And this amp is like on zero pretty much.
Yeah.
This is the volume I'm using.
It's barely on.
And that shows you why I couldn't play Children of the Sea. And it's not just because I suck. So and we're going to leave it over to you. And I can't think of I'm looking at your list cheating, and there's something great on there.
There's something a little scary even, isn't there?
Yes.
So we had a British singer by the name of Don Dokken, what teamed up with pretty amazing guitar player named George Lynch from here in the States.
Is Don Dokken British?
I thought he was, isn't he?
Well, he is now.
Yeah.
Because you
Wait,
cannot
no,
not play that.
Is he?
I cannot not play that. You have to play that. Is Don British?
Just remember, guys, I was homeschooled, so there is that, okay? I can always blame anything on that. So maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he's just an honorary Brit.
Yeah.
Let's go with it. Mr. Scary, hell of a riff.
Well, this qualifies anyway because Don's not on it. Go.
Hey, how about that? That works.
Yeah.
Let's give it a try. It's scarily American. Probably not a crossover, but who cares?
Who cares? No,
It needs to be on here. Kicks ass, right?
It's great. It's just...
We'll allow it.
So, congrats on a great list. I
Same
would
to
be
you,
really
sir.
interested in the comments, apart from saying what a moron I am and I shouldn't be allowed to play guitar on camera at all. I'm lefty, forgive me. I'd love to hear what you think we missed.
Yeah, what's your favorite riffs of the 80s from the UK and the US? I'd like to know.
I mean, one of the ones I really wanted to put on because they were a huge influence on me was Tigers of Pantang.
Yeah.
But that would have been 3 from John Sykes, which is too much. But
Yeah. I don't know if you can have too much. I'm not sure about that.
No, you can't. But I also didn't want to get everyone out of the picture. So, yeah, we both missed stuff.
Sure,
We'd
we
love
did.
to hear your lists. And that would give us an excuse to do it again, my friend.
Maybe we do that. We do your all's list next time. Stay tuned for that, coming at you someday. Thank you so much, Nick, for being here and being on this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And a huge thanks to Sweetwater Sound and Sweetwater Studios here for letting us turn up these extremely brutal amps and make some video content for you guys. It's been fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, this. There it is.
There it is.
America.
Across the
UK.
pond. Hands across the pond. Dun, dun, dun.